Hello everyone, this is Jason Swick from Simpleview, and here's my top 5 digital marketing strategies to better prepare for the road ahead. First is first-party data is now more important than ever. With changes coming and browsers being updated in 2023, now Google's moved that timeline around first-party data. This is going to be something I think for DMOs that is more important than ever. First-party data is simply the information that you directly collect on your website about your customers that you happen to own. And this is going to be really important because of the death of third-party cookies, as I mentioned. We have to try to survive this cookie apocalypse because many of us are doing programmatic media buying. First and foremost then is get hyper-focused on that first-party data. First-party data for DMOs today is typically going to evolve around two things: their web analytics on their website, and more importantly, their email addresses. Email addresses are going to be the new currency for DMOs. So now is the time to start to put a strategy in place to collect that first-party data and really get yourself hyper-focused on getting those email addresses. Next, I think it's also important to understand your exposure. How are you exposed to third-party cookies today? This would be a good time to work with either your agency or with a vendor like Simpleview to really go through and start to audit your Google Tag Manager to understand how dependent you are on third-party cookie data so you can start to better prepare a roadmap for the road ahead. Next is things like contextual targeting. This is a good solution for you, but if we think of old school, we kind of think about the way we used to do things a long time ago. When I started in media buying, we did a lot of contextual targeting, right? Where we're showing our advertising next to similar content on a website. You're going to see that come back into place. But this is also a good time now to start exploring other options that are in this space. These other options include things like unique IDs. You've heard of the term clean rooms, which we're not going to get into today. But if you were looking for something of that, go see our friend Zeke Coleman over at Adara. He's got some great information about data clean rooms. But this is something that first and foremost, that first party data is going to be the first strategy that I want DMOs to focus on now and moving forward. Second is it's a good time to be doubling down on search. And don't take my word for it. Google is showing record profits last quarter, nearly $62 billion in revenue. So let that blow your mind for a second. And $18 billion of that is pure profit. And that is because consumers are doing more searches than they have ever before prior to booking a trip. And we are seeing it translate into our own websites. Taking a look at our own data across organic search, you can see that numbers across organic traffic, which is the number one traffic source for DMOs, is higher than 2019. And 2019 was a great year for DMOs. And so we're still seeing traffic hit high, but it's not just across organic. We're also seeing it across paid search. Taking a look at search demand across accommodations, which is very important for DMOs, we're seeing an upward trends in searches across the accommodations category. Taking a look at North American data, we can look at regions that are the most popular, and you can see that regions like Florida and California are still very popular. And then we can see cities like Las Vegas, if we're looking at that drilled down a little bit further, are still really in high demand. So second on my list is really focusing on doubling down on search. I think you won't be sad that you did, and something to look forward to. Number 3 for a strategy right now is offering a better user experience. A couple of months back, I did a panel discussion in the form of a webinar with Robert Patterson from MMGY. And out of that marketing technology survey, we found out that the number one concern on a DMO website is user experience. Yet, not many DMOs are actively planning or have testing plans in place to address user experience. And by the way, this doesn't just come from this last survey. This has been the number one priority for the last 3 surveys. So this is something we have to start being better about as DMOs. And that is the need to better balance the site's intentions with the visitor's overall experience. We spend so much money as DMOs driving traffic to the website that we often forget what we want that audience to do once they get to the website. And a testing program and creating a culture of testing really allows us to do that. It allows us to take our gut feelings and put them into a scientific method that allows us to yield results to know, should we continue down path A or should we move down path B? An example of that, of someone who did a really good job with that, is with Grand Rapids during the pandemic. They knew that they needed to serve different messaging to in-market and out-of-market audiences. That was really important. They knew that messaging needed to be so different because those people that were going to travel down the road, they didn't want to lose that information or that ability to be able to reach them at a future time. And so they created two different experiences, one for the in-market visitor, one for the out-of-market visitor. And by just tailoring that message to a better overall user experience, they were able to translate into increased engagement across both market segments. First, a 72% engagement increase across in-market travel, which is just an insane number. And even more than that, for future travelers, for those out-of-market people that they wanted to reach at a later time when it was safe to come back to the destination, they saw a more than 300% increase in newsletter signups. So really offering that better user experience and focusing on UX is going to be something that I think is a strategy worthwhile moving forward. Number 4 on my list is Agile Marketing, right? This is a strategy that I think I've been talking about now for the better part of 12 months. I think it's something that we need to focus on to be better marketers. I think if you learned of anything during this pandemic, it's that we need to be more agile. Agility builds resiliency. And unfortunately, during the pandemic, that exposed a lot of cracks about how rigid some DMOs were, and it was really hard for them to pivot. This naturally means we need to have a heavier focus on digital. Digital allows us to be able to turn things off and on very quickly. So when things go sour, you can fail more intelligently. That's what I always say. So online and offline behaviors, look, they've certainly changed, but that flexibility and adaptability is going to be the key for success. So many small experiments we're seeing over these big bet campaigns. Now, we still want to have a focus and a structure in place to allow us to do that. And so we like to use the 70-20-10 rule. This is a good rule to be able to help you with your marketing budgets. That way you can take advantage of the things you do really well and still leave some money for some of those long shot or moonshot ideas that allow us to become new opportunities for the future. So let me break that down for you a little bit further. 70% of the budget we feel like should go to things that you already know are going to work well. Things like SEO, things like paid search, the things that are the staples of your marketing budget historically. 70% of your budget should go to those type of things. 20% of your budget should then be carved out for things that complement the 70%. So if you're doing paid search, you might want to pull 20% of your budget out to do a little bit more with video marketing across YouTube. That would be an example of the 20%. And then 10% of your budget, we like to pull off and use that for those moonshot ideas. Those ideas out there that may be a little bit crazy. It doesn't take all of your budget, so you're not standing there having to worry about wasting too much, but it does allow you to look for that opportunity. A perfect example of this recently is with St. Pete's Clearwater. We had Leroy Bridges on, who I'm a big fan of. He's done some recent video marketing and done some recent moonshot ideas with creating a show for Amazon called Life's Rewards. That was a moonshot idea that only took a small percent of their budget, but has yielded into millions of minutes viewed and unique users across the ecosystem that allows them to grow incrementally across their destination. So 70-20-10, it's a great rule to be a much better agile marketer. Lastly then is looking to measure beyond the click. This is my final strategy, and I think this is important. Without a data-driven strategy in 2021 and beyond, your marketing is just not going to cut it. I've been to recent sessions at DI and to Esto, and these are really data-focused sessions that I'm seeing more often than not. DMOs who are looking to measure beyond the click because their stakeholders are demanding more and more that they show value. So as DMOs, we need to make sure that we elevate that value and that our decisions are evolving around and are more grounded in data. And this data then not only allows us to be able to measure things more effectively, it also turns up opportunity. An example of someone who's done that in a destination who's done that very well is Irving. Irving was able to look beyond the click. They're still measuring things like reach and impressions. That's important, but it's not the only thing they're measuring. They're looking beyond the click to things like landing page visits, hotel partner referrals to show a better intent to travel, looking at what it costs them to get that referral, looking at did those referrals then turn into overnight visits? How's their arrival rate look? Has that increased occupancy? So looking beyond the click to more bottom funnel metrics is something that we recommend DMOs do. So that's my top 5 digital marketing strategies to help you prepare for the road ahead. Thank you so much for your time, and we'll see you next time.